Hi everyone, today we're going to show a demo of the new functionality that's built into Move 6, which supports migration of security policies from NSX to Nutanix Flow. So as you can see in the Move window, we've added this new security policy wizard, which allows you to first of all add in your NSX servers and also your Prism Centrals that you want to migrate to. So essentially what this is going to do is it's going to take a security policy as it's defined in NSX and translate it to a equivalent security policy in Nutanix Flow. So just giving us an overview of the environment. As you can see, we have 3 virtual machines configured here. And these are the ones that we're going to migrate across to Nutanix AHV. We also have an NSX environment defined. So this has a rule, which basically has this source defined here. And as you can see in the source, it has the same VM that was defined in vCenter. And as a destination, we have a couple of web servers. And in this role, there's basically 2 services. So it's ICMP and web server. So what this rule does is basically says anything that's in this group can communicate to the web servers group using ICMP and web server traffic. So let's start off by creating a VM migration plan. So what we'll do is we'll create a plan to migrate a VM and its associated security policies at the same time. So we'll put the name of our policy in here, and we will define our source, which is our vCenter server, and our target, which is Prism Central. As you can see, this has picked up the fact that an NSX and an FNS environment is connected to both the source and the destination. For our virtual machines, we're going to select VM number 5. And we will select our target network. So this is the network mapping from VMware to Nutanix AHV. So this is how the network looks like on VMware, and we're migrating this to an advanced VLAN on Nutanix AHV. What will happen first is it knows that there is an NSX policy applied to this VM, so it'll go to the migrate policies wizard first. So you can just click here, and this is where you can actually create a policy migration plan. So what this will do, this will pause the VM migration, and it will cut over the NSX policy before the VMs are migrated to Nutanix AHV. So what we have here is it will pick up the NSX role that was defined, and it will show the same sources and destinations that we showed earlier with the services, which is ICMP and web server. So this is the rule that we're going to migrate. When we click next, it allows us to define the category names that we want to migrate. So by default, it comes up with some category names, but for the sake of the demo, we're going to change that name to Singapore. So what this is going to do is when the rule set is built in Nutanix Flow as a security policy, it's going to have this Prism Central category name and these 2 category values. And it is also going to configure 2 service groups for us as well. So this is how the NSX service is defined on NSX, and this is what will get created on Nutanix Flow. So when we click next, this will then go to allow us to either put the policy in either save, monitor, or enforce. So we want to put it in monitor mode. So what that will do is it won't enforce the traffic, but it will monitor the traffic as it comes in, so we can see what firewall flows are doing. That is quite powerful because it allows you to, if you put it in enforce mode, it means that when you migrate your VMs, they are first protected by NSX, and during the whole migration phase to Nutanix AHV, they are protected as soon as they land on AHV. So there's no security risk to the virtual machines because even during the migration, they're going to be protected. So what's happening now is it's migrating the security policy for us. So this happens pretty quickly because it's not doing any data movement. It's just doing it in code, right? So it's basically just rebuilding that rule from NSX onto Nutanix Flow. So we can see that that was completed. If we switch back to the VM policy wizard, we can edit this, and we can then just run through it again, which will then allow us to migrate our virtual machine into that security policy. So as you can see, it tells us that the NSX policy has already been migrated and the equivalent FNS policy has been created as well. So when this VM comes across, it's going to be protected by Flow Network Security straight away. So what will happen next is it'll just check that there's sufficient capacity on the target cluster before the migration is done. So what this allows us to do is to decide how the VM is going to be prepared. So what VM preparation is the process of injecting the drivers that are required for AHV into the virtual machines. This will also allow us to uninstall VMware tools. So when the VM is brought over to AHV, VMware tools automatically get uninstalled. So what we want to define here is we just want to add the username and password that we need. So this is required because Nutanix Move will connect to the virtual machine and will inject the drivers before it's migrated. We'll just leave all these settings at the default for the migration, and we go save and continue. So the passwords will be validated, and then it will connect to the VM and start injecting the drivers into it before migration. And then we click close and start, and that migration should be started. So what we'll see here is the migration plan will get validated, and then what it will do is it'll start doing snapshots of the virtual machine while it's running in VMware. And then those snapshots will get sent to AHV, and then it'll just keep that VM in sync. So every 10 minutes, it will do another snap on VMware, and it will just do it'll just transfer the change blocks between those 10-minute windows. So it's a delta sync. And that happens with the virtual machine completely online. It's only when you do the cutover that VM will be shut down and migrated. So this will take some time to do the copy for us. So what we'll do now is I'll just cut over another virtual machine that I already prepared. So we simply select this VM. This was an already prepared one, and we will just cut it over. So what this is going to do here for us is it'll shut down that source VM. It'll disconnect the virtual network cards on it, and it will just add a note to the VM to say it is going to be migrated. So we click continue, and what's going to happen now is it's going to do a shutdown of the VM on VMware. It is then going to do a final data sync of the VM with it turned off. So that just ensures that the data is consistent when the migration happens, because we want the VM to be consistent, of course, right? So with the VM on, with the snapshots, we don't know what data change has been done. And then it will simply bring up the VM in Nutanix AHV and leave the VM on VMware turned off. So what we'll see is that it will be creating a final snapshot. So it's already shut down the VM. It's doing a snapshot, and it's moving the data across to AHV. When it gets to this configure target VM, it means that VM has already been cut over to AHV, and it's just configuring it. So if we switch over to Prism Central now, we should see that this VM has been created, right? So you can see it here. It's created the VM, and it's going to power it on and add all the configuration for us. So what we'll do now is we'll demonstrate how the security policy that we migrated works. So what we'll do is we'll take our other VMs and we'll just assign them to some categories that are managed by the security policy. So this VM we cut over earlier, we're going to add it to the engineering desktops. And our VM4, which is just powered on, we're going to add it to the other group, to the web servers group. And we'll just check that VM was cut over successfully. So we should be able to see the console now. So as you can see, it's picked up an IP address, which is great. And we'll be able to launch the console and see that it's started up. So that's cool. So that VM was migrated successfully from VMware to AHV. If we look at VMware quickly, we'll see that VM has now been shut down. So that VM has been powered off, which means the migration was done. And it will also add a note to say that it was migrated. So the migration of that virtual machine was successful. If we now look at the security policies, we will see that this VMs are protected by the security policy that we migrated from NSX to Flow. So this is the security policy that we did. And as you can see, it's already started to pick up data. So this is in monitor mode. So traffic is still allowed, but it's just going to show us what traffic flow is coming into the virtual machines. So we have a web server running on this VM that we need to protect. So we'll go to that and we'll take a look at it. And that's running on port 8080. So as you can see, this is running a web server that we do not want anyone to see because it's a confidential project to build a self-driving car. So we only want our engineers to see what we're building here. So let's go ahead and enforce that firewall rule to protect our project. So we just go here and we go apply and we go enforce. What this will do now is it'll just enforce our security policy. So we click enforce. What you'll see is these traffic flows will all turn red. So this means that they're blocked. So the only thing that can get into the server is the engineering desktops communicating to the web server. Any other traffic out is going to be completely blocked. So yeah, you can see this is our desktop. It cannot access the web server anymore on port 8080. So let's just refresh this page and hopefully it's not going to load for us. Yep. So as you can see, it's loading. If you duplicate it, yeah, the traffic is completely blocked. So that concludes our demo. As you see, we've successfully migrated a VM and we've also migrated the associated security policies with the VM as well. Thank you for your time.